Well, this week on the Gold Arrow Camp podcast, I'm really excited to welcome Glitter. Glitter, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sunshine.
So, for many of you, you probably recognize Glitter's voice. She is kind of the voice of GAC because between September and May, for sure, and often during the summer as well, she is often the first person to answer the phone when you call the GAC office. And so she's been around for a really long time, and we love having Glitter at camp. And sometimes she's behind the scenes. So not everybody at camp really knows her, but I know most parents know Glitter. So, Glitter, to start, why don't you just share a little bit about your GAC story and how you ended up at GAC in the first place and when that was?
Sure. So the summer of 2001, I had just graduated high school and I was working at a pizza place. And our good family friend was the office manager at Gold Arrow Camp at the time. And she had a office assistant who was pregnant and got put on maternity leave early. And she needed someone to finish out the summer helping with filing and basic office tasks. And so she asked if I would come work. And I said, wow, that sounds great. I'd love to do that. And so I um, came up and worked like the second half of a summer. It wasn't even the full summer. Like I remember having to come up with a nickname really quickly because it was like started and everyone was there. And so I worked that summer and enjoyed it. And so then, next summer came rolling around and there was an opportunity to come back and I went back and it kind of just went like that for a few years where I went back summer after summer. And then in 2004, you relocated from Orange County to Clovis. And I remember during the summer, you asking if I would be interested in working like part-time in the office and part-time as your nanny. Owen was about to be one at the time, which is wild. Like I remember his first birthday. And so I was your nanny kind of half the time and then working in the office, helping with things the other half, and did that from 2004 until 2008. And then in 2008, I took over as the office manager, and here we are in 2025. I kind of feel like I blinked my eyes. Like it went very fast. But yeah, it's just been an amazing wild ride, and I loved every moment of it.
Wow, that is kind of crazy that you've been here since you were a teenager. You've been working
Right.
at GAC. So kind of similar to people who were counselors and are now, coming back as camp nurses or in different roles,
Mhm.
shaver hosts and that kind of thing. You've had that kind of full perspective. And I remember it was last summer was very special. So why don't you share a little bit about why last summer was kind of unique for you as a Gold Arrow Camp staff member?
Sure. So year 24, and I got to be a first year camp parent. So my son turned 6 last summer. So he was a baby bear first year, just finished kindergarten. He got to come and be a 2-week camper, which was really exciting. It's, I think as a parent, it's like to be able to send your kid to camp is just so awesome. And it was really neat to actually, oh my gosh, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. It was really neat to be able to finally be on the other side. I've talked to so many parents, I mean, countless parents over the years, and helped them through that experience of, being a first year parent. And I finally got to be that first year parent. And so it was neat to actually be able to be on the other side of it and fully understand what people were going through sending their kids to camp for the first time. So yeah, super special, loved every moment of it. And so thankful that I had that opportunity. And he's enrolled again for this summer, and we're super excited.
That's so fun. And it's interesting that his first year at camp corresponded with our theme of building empathy. And I think
Uh-huh.
you really, like you said, you really leaned into your empathy last summer because, oh my
Yes.
gosh, you were having the exact same thing as
Uh-huh.
the parents. I remember when I started working at camp and when like I was first an owner of camp, I didn't have any kids myself, feeling like, oh gosh, will people like listen to me when I talk about, this? And then I remember dropping Gretchen, my oldest, at camp for the first time and calling Monk on the way back and saying, oh my gosh, I cannot believe people send their kids to camp.
Uh-huh.
I've told that story before, but it's just this whole nother level of um, Yeah, it's just, I mean, we talk about this a lot. Chelsea and I have talked about this with parents a lot, just the level of trust, right? That
Mhm.
people put in us when they send their child to us. And I love to, I mean, you've always had very high standards for, how we do things at camp. And you had a good perspective last year. You had some things that we were going to fix this year too, that because of your experience as a parent. So it's really fun to have you now as part of both the year-round team and as a parent because it really is a different perspective.
Yeah,
So
I had
tell
a
me.
funny, oh, just was gonna say I had a funny story where last summer, prior to Gold Arrow, Turner did a day camp. He did a 2 week day camp, or 1 week day camp actually. And I remember someone being like, "You're sending him to day camp?" Like they were very surprised. I was like, "Well, I'm kind of in the wrong industry if I can't trust to send my child to a 1 week day camp, especially when he's going to 2 week overnight camp. Like he has to be able to do that, and I've got to trust that that's okay." But I think it is. It's hard to think about sending at the time he was 5, he was almost 6, and sending him off to a new experience. But it is such an amazing opportunity for them. So,
Yeah. Well, we got so much positive feedback from parents who talked to you last summer. So that's why I was just thinking, I'm sure like you are kind of, you get emotional like I do about all these things, but I'm sure that came through, like maybe during session 3 when Turner was a camper too, and you're talking to a parent who's maybe having similar things because Turner had some homesickness and some of the normal things, right, that a lot of kids have, and you were experiencing it and seeing it firsthand and feeling it. So I'm sure that resonates with parents a lot.
yeah, no, it's been really neat to finally be able to be on that side of things and really be able to understand and relate to how parents are feeling. I'd experienced being a camp aunt. My niece and nephews got to come when they were younger. They're now adults, but I kind of felt a little bit of it that way, but it obviously was just not the same. And so finally being able to send my own child and really truly have that understanding was super special and really changed the dynamic for me. I've always loved camp, but being able to like actually have my own camper made it that much more special.
Yeah, and it's neat. And you actually have kind of several peers who were, on staff with you when you were younger, whose kids
Mhm.
also go to camp. So that's now fun. Like your Turner is getting to be friends with like Zippy's kids. And like it's neat to have that next generation of friendships now being formed at GAC of kids who don't even live in the same area.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Zippy and I shared a tent for a couple summers at camp, became really close friends, have stayed in touch all these years. And now, yeah, her boys are old enough to be campers. And it's so neat to have seen Turner meet them prior to coming to camp and to establish a friendship with them. And then now watch that friendship kind of be able to grow and bloom at camp. So it's just so special to have that opportunity. And it's neat to have been with camp so long, like you said, to see these people coming back with their own children that were, starting out at camp the same time as me.
So, so fun. Okay, so back to you. What is it that makes you want to do this crazy job for, is it now 25 years?
Yeah, so this summer will be 25. I think the stories and the connections that I make the stories I hear every year, the connections I make with the families, just brings me back. I have the unique perspective of getting to see a lot of the camper evaluations at the end of the summer. The campers tell us about their experience, and being able to see what campers say about their camp experience really brings it all full circle and makes it so worth it. When you get to see a comment like, "This is my happy place," or "This is a place where I get to be myself," it makes all the work we do. The 9 months of work. Everyone asks what we do when you work for summer camp year round. Well, what do you do the rest of the year? Well, it takes a lot of months to prepare for camp. And I'm registering the campers and processing forms and talking to parents and all of that. But all of that work is worth it when you see what the kids get out of it in the end, and how they're able to kind of put away the pressures of every everyday life and not focus on academics and just be a kid and be able to try new things and experience something new. I'm super excited for our theme this summer. Try new things because I do think, especially for Turner, for my own son, like trying new things is scary for him. It's something that's a big deal. And so I think it's really cool that our campers are encouraged in such a supportive environment to try something new. Um, and so yeah, for me, I think it's those stories that bring me back every year, just so excited for the next summer and being able to continue to see kids learn and grow and love camp and take what they learn at camp out into the world and share it with their friends and their families and eventually their real world jobs.
It's so cool. When you look back, I know you've been here, it's like your whole adult life, pretty much. But how do you think you've like grown or changed as a person just because of your time or like being part of GAC? Like, what have you learned or how have you grown?
Wow, I'm sure in so many ways. I mean, I think I literally have grown up at camp. I feel like I was 17 when I first started. And so I've grown a sense of responsibility. I know you've said like my like wanting things to be perfect. And I feel like I got that from camp. It's wanting, I have high standards and it's because camp has high standards. And that's something that I've developed and grown over the years and taken to other parts of my life and other places where I've helped. Um, but just wanting to do the best and put out the best product possible for our campers and for whatever it may be. So I think it's just all these things I've learned over the years and helping parents um and helping GAC and watching it grow and we put a lot of pride at camp into making sure we kind of exceed expectations. It's going that extra mile and wowing people with the extra little steps. And so I think it's when you can help others with that same thing is really neat.
So good. I think you need to tell the story about you're very involved. Like, so outside of camp, you do a lot of volunteer work at school and at your church. And I think the quote was, everybody needs an Amy, because that's your real non-camp name. So just talk a little bit about that, about like how you've kind of used, I mean, you are this, who you are at camp and being reliable and detail oriented and organized. You take and you help others in other areas too. So just tell that everybody needs an Amy story.
Yes. So yeah, I like to be behind the scenes. That's very much it's who I am at camp and it's who I am in a lot of other roles. And so I step in a lot of places, PTC at school. I help with a lot of things at church behind the scenes. And so I started several years ago helping with an auction event that they do. And the pastor's wife recently said to somebody that actually helped bring me to the church, everybody needs an Amy. Like, had we known that you would bring us Amy, like we would have been chomping at the bit to have you. Because yeah, they're so thankful to have that behind the scenes help. All the little things that like someone else also used the phrase, they said that I need to work for the president or something because I always think of I think of it before they think of it. We were in a Zoom meeting and it was like, oh, I just sent that to you. And they're like, how did you know I needed that? So it's just that like trying to anticipate the needs before they're even there. Just it's that extra mile, going that extra step and yeah.
Yeah, that just reminds me, Monkey and I often reflect on how, you are so great at very gently reminding us, like, hey, isn't it the time of year to do this? And so I really appreciate that because you know me, I sometimes am off on my, developing this new thing or rewriting a guide or doing the podcast or I'm doing all these things. And then you're very good at just kind of keeping the steady forward motion, and we have some systems and calendars and things, but you're really sort of the person that knows and orchestrates it all and just gives us all the gentle, like, okay, well, it's now time to start thinking about. the parent handbook that needs to be ready in February or whatever. So it is true. Everybody needs, we call you glitter. Everybody needs a glitter. GAC really needs glitter. So you've been such a great addition to our team, and just your so many years and your sort of institutional memory is so good. And pretty much almost any question someone has, you can answer, or you for sure know who to send them to if you can't answer it, which is really, really amazing. And you've been kind of on all sides of camp. And even though you're behind the scenes, you sort of know what's going on with, you can kind of assist with. Sometimes you're helping with the staff hiring and doing reference calls. And sometimes you're stepping in and interviewing a junior counselor. And sometimes you're going to do an event, and you're kind of like, you can do a lot of different
Yeah.
things. And so anyway, well, we really appreciate all that you do at GAC.
Thank you. I think that's what's so
Uh,
special about the job, is that I am able to do so many things. Is I am able to like pop into a lot of different areas, and even during the summer, being able to help out in different places. That's part of what's so enjoyable about the job.
well, it's awesome having you, and I hope everybody gets a chance to meet you. One of our goals this summer is to make sure that the staff, even the staff who are behind the scenes, we have a whole bunch of staff who are, we call kind of the support, and it's really the backbone of camp. And it's a lot of times people that, maybe people aren't really thinking about, like our tremendous food service team and
Mm.
our office team and the whole like maintenance team and all the drivers and all the people fixing things and all of the people who come in as visiting staff to help with various areas of camp. And so really our hope this summer is we can make sure that campers get a chance to interact with or meet, these different people, and that definitely the staff know of this very vast network of people who you may not see, teaching campers activities or leading a campfire, but they're doing a lot of work that keeps camp moving forward and being safe and all that good stuff.
Yes, definitely. I mean, camp couldn't survive with all the behind the scenes people. It takes so many people to put out the product that we provide every summer, and we're so thankful to all of those people that make it happen for sure.
And of course, we're trying to look like the ducks, on the pond, peacefully,
Right.
peacefully drifting across the
Floating.
top of that, where when our feet are just like paddling or whatever under very quickly underneath. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Glitter. I know this will be fun for our camp community to hear from you and meet you and get to know you a little bit better. Anything else that you want to share before we close off this podcast?
Not that I can think of, aside from just I'm really excited for my 25th summer at GAC, my son's second summer. I just can't wait to see how he learns and grows. Actually, you know what? There's a story I want to share from last summer that just kind of, for me, signifies again how amazing our staff is. I got the special privilege of going down to Shaver Island with our bears, our youngest campers, last summer, as a photographer while his cabin group was down there. And I got to see, I was out on a boat with a group of kids, and I came in, and Turner was nervous to try water skiing. He was super scared about it. And we pulled back in a boat, and he was on water skis with a couple of our staff behind him, and they were propelling him through the water as though he was water skiing, but without the actual boat. They were helping him conquer that fear. And just a little step, it was that, like, let's get the water skis on, let's try something. And I just thought it was so neat that they'd taken the time to try to help him with that. And I remember asking afterwards, I asked one of them, did you know that was my son? And they didn't. They had no idea. To them, he was a camper that had a fear, and they were just trying to help him with that fear. And I thought that was really cool to know that our staff that's what they're there. They're there to help our kids, with everything possible. And so they wanted him to have that experience. And so my hope is this summer that he'll actually get behind the boat and try it, because he had that that step last summer, but I just thought that was a really cool moment for me to see as a parent and as someone so involved with camp to know that our staff is more amazing than I even really realized they were. It was neat. So I'm excited for the summer and excited to see what more he can accomplish and get to see the kids' faces when they try new things and get to read their profiles after and hear their victory stories. So just really looking forward to year 25.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that story. I mean, it really is true. We want every single camper to feel like part of our community and feel loved and cared for and connected and everything. So, that's great that you had that experience. And it wasn't like any special treatment for like the, camp registrar's son. It was, this is a camper who has a fear and we're going to help him. I love that story so much, Glitter. Well, thanks for being on, and we'll be sure to have you back. I know we're going to have some other little mini podcast episodes to help parents with many other things that may
Yes.
come up later, like understanding when is the right time to register for Gold Arrow Camp for the next year. So
Very
we'll be
important
back.
topic.
We'll be back in July with a little message about that to help explain to parents about kind of how enrollment works and cabining and some of those other things.
Perfect. I look forward to it.